blue lights behind you, and you are carrying your firearm. What you do with your hands in the next 10 seconds determines your freedom. Not just the legality of your permit. Not just whether you are doing anything wrong. What you physically do in those 10 seconds is what matters most right now. What's up, everyone? I'm Pierre Prialé, your criminal defense attorney in Northern Virginia, and today I'm going to give you the exact protocol to handle a traffic stop while armed in a way that protects your rights, protects your life, and gives the officer every reason to let the stop be exactly what it should be. Routine. A traffic stop when you are carrying is one of the highest tension interactions a gun owner can have, and it is an interaction where the wrong move, even an innocent and completely unintentional one, can escalate into a situation that ends careers, results in criminal charges, and in the most tragic cases, ends lives. The knowledge I'm going to give you today is the specific information and the specific words that make that interaction as safe and legally clean as possible for everyone involved. We are going to cover the 3 most common beliefs about traffic stops while armed that are wrong and dangerous, how the duty to notify differs between Virginia, Maryland, and DC because it genuinely differs in important ways, the exact 3-step protocol every armed driver in the DMV should know before they ever need it, and the specific errors that turn a legal carry into a criminal charge. 3 beliefs about traffic stops when armed that create real problems. The first, you have to immediately announce you're armed before the officer reaches your window. This is not the law in Virginia, and acting on this belief in the wrong way can make the situation worse. The way you communicate something matters as much as what you communicate. An unexpected statement about a firearm before the officer has even introduced themselves, delivered without the right framing and tone, can be startling. Officers are trained to respond to perceived threats. Calm, structured communication at the right moment is what the situation calls for, not impulsive announcements before the officer is prepared to receive the information. The second, saying it quickly legally protects you regardless of how you say it. No. The words, the sequence of your movements, the tone of your voice, all of it factors into how the officer reads the situation. Deliberate and structured communication is not just politeness. It is the approach that keeps everyone safe. The third, if you are polite enough, the officer will not take any additional steps. Being polite is essential and non-negotiable, but it does not replace protocol. When an officer learns a firearm is present, they follow their training regardless of how pleasant the conversation has been. Following the correct sequence of steps is what ensures those protocols play out safely. The duty to notify is different in each of the 3 DMV jurisdictions, and that difference has real consequences for getting it wrong. In Virginia, there is no statutory duty to proactively tell an officer you have a firearm or a concealed carry permit. You are not legally required to volunteer that information when an officer approaches. However, if the officer asks you directly whether you have a firearm on your person or in the vehicle, you should answer honestly. Making a false statement to law enforcement can create separate legal problems, and lying during a traffic stop can make a routine encounter much worse. And here is the practical reality that changes the entire dynamic. Officers may learn through records or other information that you have a carry permit. Many experienced Northern Virginia officers have said publicly that voluntary calm disclosure can reduce the tension of the interaction even when it is not legally required, precisely because they need to know where the firearm is. In Maryland, the safest approach is to treat disclosure as immediate and mandatory if you are carrying under a Maryland wear and carry permit. Maryland permit holders are generally expected to display the permit on demand and comply with the conditions of the permit. Your permit and identification should go out with your driver's license right at the start of the stop. Failing to handle this correctly can create serious problems with the officer and with your permit status. In Washington, D.C., the rules operate at a different level of severity entirely. D.C. does not recognize carry permits from other states, and carrying legally in D.C. requires a D.C.-issued concealed pistol license. If you have a valid D.C. license and you are carrying, immediate notification with full documentation from the first moment of the stop is essential. In D.C., there is effectively zero tolerance for anything less. Now, the 3-step protocol that every armed driver in the DMV should practice before they ever need it. Step 1 is hands visible. From the moment you see the lights and begin pulling over, both hands go to the top of the steering wheel and stay there. If it is nighttime, interior lights on before the officer reaches your door. Window down before the officer arrives at the door. Hands at 10 and 2, completely visible and completely still. Zero movement until the officer speaks first. Do not reach for your license. Do not reach for your registration. Do not adjust anything. Do not touch anything. If the officer already knows or later learns that a firearm may be present, two visible still hands on the steering wheel before any words are spoken is the most important safety communication you can make in those first seconds. Step 2 is the correct vocabulary. When it is time to communicate about your firearm, the exact words matter and the order matters. The correct way to say it, delivered calmly and clearly, is, "Officer, I have a valid permit and I'm carrying a firearm located at," and then you give the exact location. Right hip, left side, center console, wherever it is. Be specific. Notice the construction. Valid permit comes before the word firearm every time. Those two words establish immediately that you are a lawful carrier who went through the proper process. They frame the entire communication before the word firearm arrives, and they set a tone of legal compliance and transparency. Never blurt just the word gun or pistol without context. An abrupt, incomplete statement about a weapon in a high-tension situation is alarming. The complete sentence with permit reference first and exact location second is what protects everyone. Step 3 is zero unannounced movements for the rest of the stop. After you have communicated about the firearm and given the exact location, you do not move toward it, you do not reach anywhere near it, and you do not retrieve any documents until the officer explicitly and verbally tells you to do so, knowing where the firearm is. If your license or registration is near the firearm, you tell the officer that before your hands move anywhere near that area. "My registration is in the glove box near the firearm. May I reach for it?" And then you wait for a clear verbal yes before any movement. This is not excessive caution. It is the sequence that keeps a routine stop routine. An unexpected movement toward a known firearm is a potential emergency from the officer's perspective. Verbal communication before every single movement eliminates that possibility entirely. The errors that turn legal carries into criminal charges. The most dangerous error is reaching toward the firearm or making any unannounced movement near it without first communicating verbally. This is the error that has resulted in fatal escalations at traffic stops. It is not about guilt or intent. An unexpected movement toward a known weapon is a potential lethal threat from the officer's perspective, and officers are trained to respond to potential lethal threats. Never touch or move toward the firearm during a stop unless the officer specifically instructs you to and tells you how. The second error is not having the physical permit with you when you are carrying. Virginia law requires that when carrying concealed with a permit, you have the permit and a government-issued photo ID on your person and display them when requested by law enforcement. The permit being valid does not substitute for having it with you. Not having it can create a charge even if the permit is completely current and valid. The third error is lying about whether you have a firearm when the officer asks directly. Lying to an officer can create separate legal problems. If you are carrying and you are asked, you tell the truth. The fourth error is making any unannounced movement at any point during the stop. Every movement of your hands should be slow, deliberate, and preceded by a clear verbal statement of what you are about to do and why. The discipline this requires is real, and practicing it mentally before you ever need it is genuinely useful. And the fifth error is getting into a debate about your rights with the officer at the roadside. If you believe the officer is handling the situation improperly, the roadside is not where that conversation happens. Fairfax General District Court is. Arlington General District Court is. Alexandria General District Court is. Comply with lawful instructions during the stop, document everything afterward, and address any rights issues with legal counsel. Two situations from practice that show exactly what the difference looks like. The first is a man with a valid Virginia concealed carry permit stopped on the I-66 in Fairfax for a broken taillight. When the lights appeared, he immediately put both hands at the top of the steering wheel and kept them there while pulling over. He turned on his interior lights. When the officer reached his window, he said calmly, "Officer, I want to let you know I have a valid concealed carry permit and I am carrying a firearm on my right hip." The officer said, "Thank you for telling me. Please keep your hands visible and do not touch the firearm." The driver said, "Understood." The officer issued a fix-it ticket for the taillight, returned the documents, and the stop was over in 7 minutes. The firearm was never a complication because the protocol was followed exactly. The second is a driver with a valid permit stopped on Route 7 in Fairfax. When the officer asked for license and registration, the driver immediately reached toward the glove box without saying anything first. If an officer knows or suspects this driver may have a firearm, an unannounced movement toward the glove box is exactly the kind of motion officers are trained to respond to with maximum caution. The situation escalated. Backup was called. The driver exited the vehicle. The encounter lasted over 40 minutes under circumstances that were stressful and frightening for everyone. The firearm was completely legal, the permit was completely valid, and the entire situation was entirely preventable with one verbal sentence before the driver moved his hands. Before I close, let me answer the questions I get most often about traffic stops and firearms. People ask, if the officer asks to take my firearm, do I have to give it to him? During a lawful traffic stop, an officer may take temporary safety measures involving a firearm if they have a lawful basis to do so. You do not argue at the roadside. You comply in the moment, you document everything about the encounter, and you contact a criminal defense attorney immediately after the stop if you believe your rights were violated. People ask, what if I do not have my physical permit with me? Virginia law requires you to carry the permit and a government-issued photo ID when carrying concealed with a permit and display them when requested by law enforcement. Not having it can create a charge even if the permit is valid and current. Always carry the physical permit. People ask, does open carry change the protocol? If you are open carrying, the firearm is visible when the officer approaches. The same hands-on-wheel protocol applies from the moment you pull over. The primary difference is that there is no ambiguity about whether you are armed, which can slightly reduce the tension compared to a concealed carry situation. But it also makes visible, calm behavior even more important. People ask, what if I believe the officer violated my rights during the stop? Comply with lawful instructions. Do not argue. When the stop is over, write down every detail you remember and contact a Northern Virginia criminal defense attorney as soon as possible. Rights violations are resolved in court, not at the roadside. And people ask, I was charged with a firearms offense during a traffic stop in Northern Virginia. What do I do right now? Contact Right Path Law Group immediately. Make no additional statements. The sooner an attorney is on your case, the more options are available to you. A traffic stop does not have to become a legal nightmare if you know how to act. Hands visible before the officer arrives. The correct vocabulary with valid permit first and the exact location of the firearm. 0 unannounced movements from that point forward. That is the entire protocol. It requires nothing beyond knowledge and the discipline to execute it when the moment comes. At Right Path Law Group, we have been practicing criminal defense in Northern Virginia for over 15 years. We know firearms law in Virginia, we know how these cases are handled in Fairfax, Arlington, and Alexandria courts, and we know how to protect responsible gun owners who found themselves in a situation they did not expect. Call us at 703-722-8044 or visit us at rightpathlaw.com. The law protects you, but only if you know it.